In life, everyone carries a dream tucked somewhere deep inside. Some dream of creating something remarkable, some of leading, others of simply becoming the best version of themselves. Yet, most people remain stuck at the stage of dreaming. They watch countless motivational clips, follow inspiring accounts, and feel a rush of energy for a short time only, to wake up a few days later realizing that nothing has changed. Why does this happen? Because motivation is a spark, not a foundation. A house cannot be built only from sparks. It needs bricks, cement, and steady work. In the same way, a successful life requires discipline, not just motivation. Today, let me tell you a story, not just a story to pass the time, but one that might shift the way you look at your own habits. The dreamer in a quiet coastal town lived a teenager named Liam. He had bright eyes and a restless spirit. Liam wanted to achieve something that would make his life meaningful. He wasn't sure if it was art, science, or business, but he knew he didn't want to settle for an ordinary path. Every night, he scrolled through social media, saving motivational quotes, watching speeches of successful leaders, and imagining how he too would someday rise above the crowd. Often, before bed, he whispered to himself, "Tomorrow, I'll start fresh. Tomorrow, I'll study harder, wake up earlier, and push beyond my limits." That thought alone filled him with excitement. But when morning arrived, the excitement faded. Old habits came back sleeping in, procrastinating, and finding excuses. This cycle repeated so many times that Liam started to feel ashamed of himself. The encounter one afternoon, Liam visited a local library where he ran into his childhood friend, Noah. Unlike Liam, Noah wasn't a dreamer lost in his thoughts. It was a doer. He woke up at dawn, followed a schedule, practiced guitar daily, and slowly built skills that impressed everyone around him. Liam couldn't hold back his curiosity. "How do you do it, Noah? How do you keep going day after day without getting bored or tired?" Noah chuckled, closed his notebook, and replied, "The secret isn't motivation, Liam. It's discipline." Liam frowned. "But isn't motivation what drives us?" Noah shook his head and said, "Come with me tomorrow morning. There's someone I want you to meet." The lesson by the lake the next morning. Long before sunrise, Liam dragged himself out of bed and followed Noah to a serene lake outside the town. Mist floated above the water, and at the shore sat an elderly woman named Marion, known in the community as a wise gardener. Her hands were rough from years of work, and her calm eyes seemed to hold centuries of stories. Noah greeted her warmly and said, "Marion, could you share with Liam the lesson you once shared with me about discipline?" Marion smiled at Liam. "Do you see this garden behind me?" she asked, pointing 2 rows of vegetables and flowers. "Every single day, no matter if the sun burns or rain pours, I come here to tend to it. Some days, the soil rewards me quickly with growth. Some days, nothing seems to change, and sometimes pests destroy my work. Yet, I return each day without fail." "Why?" asked Liam. "Because you love gardening?" Marion shook her head gently. "Love alone isn't enough. If I only came when I felt like it, these plants would wither. If I waited for perfect weather, there would be no harvest. I don't wait for motivation, I practice discipline." Her words struck Liam, but she continued. "Motivation is like a gust of wind. It comes suddenly, pushes you forward a little, but then vanishes. Discipline, however, is like the steady current of a river. It flows quietly but powerfully, shaping valleys and mountains over time." The story of the oak tree. Marion pointed to a tall oak tree near the lake. "Let me tell you another story," she said. "A farmer once planted an oak seed. Every morning he watered it, cleared the weeds, and nurtured the soil. For years, nothing. People mocked him, saying he was wasting his time. Still, he returned every day. Then, after several years, a small sprout appeared, and within a few more, the oak towered over the entire field, giving shade, strength, and beauty. Do you know why it took so long?" Liam shook his head. "Because in those silent years, the roots were growing deep underground. Without strong roots, the oak could never stand tall against storms. Discipline works the same way. At first, you see nothing. But if you stay committed, Suddenly one day the results will rise, and people will wonder how it happened overnight, forgetting the years of effort hidden beneath the surface. Transformation. Something clicked inside Liam. For the first time, he understood why his bursts of excitement never lasted. He had been chasing sparks instead of building firewood. From that day on, Liam decided to change. He created a routine, waking up at 6 a.m., no matter how tired he felt, dedicating 2 hours daily to reading and studying, practicing guitar for 30 minutes every evening, exercising 3 times a week. It wasn't easy. On some days, his body resisted. On others, he felt hopeless, but he remembered Marion's words. Don't wait for perfect weather. Days became weeks. Weeks turned into months. Slowly, small victories added up. His grades improved, his music skills grew, and his health became stronger. People around him started noticing the outcome. Years later, Liam became one of the most admired figures in his town. He was admired because he was the smartest or most talented. He was admired because he was consistent. Whenever someone asked, "Liam, what's your secret?" he would smile and reply, "Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent." Success doesn't come from one giant leap. It comes from the small steps you repeat every day. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for the right mood. Start today. Stay steady and let discipline shape your life. And so, Liam's story became a quiet inspiration for many others. Not because he relied on sparks of motivation, but because he built a fire that burned steadily day after day, year after year. So if you're reading this now, remember, your future depends less on how excited you feel today and more on what you consistently do tomorrow.